What's up, guys? Okay, after episode 7 dropped, I'm not gonna lie, I had a complete hold on a second moment. Because literally everything I predicted ended up happening. Not parts of it. Not close enough. Almost every major beat played out exactly the way the leaks said it would. And after seeing that happen in real time, I started thinking, what if the episode 8 leaks are real too? Now, before people start screaming in the comments, relax for a second. I'm not claiming I've secretly watched the finale or anything like that. I don't have insider access. But I do have leaks that sound way too believable to ignore. And honestly, that's exactly how episode 7 felt before it released. Everybody called those leaks fake, and then the episode came out and basically confirmed everything. So maybe, just maybe, we're about to see it happen again. And trust me, if these leaks are real, the boys could be heading toward one of the darkest endings in TV history. So yeah, massive spoiler warning. Seriously, if you don't want potential finale spoilers, now's the time to click off the video. Still here? Alright, let's talk about this. According to the leaks, the finale opens with a shocking death, and apparently it's the Deep. Just gone. No emotional goodbye. No huge heroic sacrifice. Nothing. And honestly, that actually makes perfect sense for his character. Think about it. For 5 seasons, Deep has basically been the luckiest guy in the show. Better characters died around him constantly, while this dude somehow kept surviving every disaster imaginable. So killing him immediately in the finale sends a very clear message. Nobody is safe anymore. And the crazy part is, his death isn't even the main event. It's basically the show telling the audience, yeah, things are about to get ugly. But then we get into the leak that completely changes everything. Apparently, Hughie Campbell finally takes Compound V and officially becomes a Supe. And honestly, that's huge. Because Hughie has always represented the normal person in this world. He was the audience perspective. The guy standing in rooms full of gods without having powers himself. But now, he becomes one of them. And weirdly enough, I actually think that's brilliant storytelling. Because this entire series has been about people slowly becoming the things they hate. Especially Hughie and Billy Butcher. The difference is, Hughie still has humanity left. He still has empathy. He still has lines he refuses to cross. And according to these leaks, his powers might evolve beyond just teleportation. Which immediately raises one terrifying question. What happens in this finale that requires Hughie to become that powerful? Because trust me, by the end of the episode, there's apparently a very specific reason he needs those powers. Now let's talk about Soldier Boy. The leaks say he appears near the beginning of the episode, and then disappears for most of it. And yeah, I know, that sounds disappointing at first. But honestly, it could mean the writers are saving him for one final massive moment later in the finale. Or maybe they're intentionally keeping him alive because of future spin-offs. But here's the thing that keeps sticking in my head. Soldier Boy is the reason Homelander exists. Without him, there is no Homelander. And after episode 7 revealed Homelander now has V1 in his system, it feels impossible that Soldier Boy won't somehow factor into the ending. Because if these two never get one final confrontation after all this build-up, fans are going to lose their minds. Now here's where things get really dark. According to the leaks, Homelander completely snaps midway through the episode. And I don't mean calculated violence or political manipulation. I mean full psychological breakdown. Random killings. Innocent people dying. Absolute chaos. But honestly, this has been building for years. Homelander never wanted fame. He wanted worship. He wanted people to look at him like he was a god. And after everything we've seen this season, it feels like he's finally realized something terrifying. No matter what he does, people still fear him more than they love him. So now his mindset becomes simple. If you don't worship me, you die. And that's terrifying because it means the mask is finally gone. No more pretending to be a hero. No more trying to appear stable. Just pure unchecked power. Then we get to the detail that honestly sounds almost too perfect. Apparently, Butcher lures Homelander to the White House for the final battle. And symbolically, that's incredible. Because Homelander never wanted to just be famous. He wanted America itself. Control. Power. Worship on a national level. So ending the story at the White House feels intentional. America created this monster. America celebrated this monster. And now America has to watch him fall. If the show really goes all out here, this could easily become the biggest action sequence in the entire series. But according to the leaks, even then, Butcher still can't beat Homelander alone. Which makes sense. No matter how dangerous Butcher becomes, Homelander has always been on another level physically. But then Ryan Butcher and Kimiko Miyashiro show up to help him. And honestly, Ryan choosing Butcher over his own father might end up being the emotional core of the entire finale. Because that moment means Ryan finally sees Homelander for what he truly is. Not a father. Not a hero. Just a monster. And for years, The show has quietly hinted that Ryan could eventually surpass him. Same powers, same bloodline. But unlike Homelander, Ryan actually grew up with love. And that changes everything. Now here's where the leaks get insane. Apparently, Kimiko somehow weakens Homelander by partially removing the V1 from his body. Not completely, just enough to make him vulnerable again. And psychologically, that might destroy him more than the physical damage itself. Because Homelander has literally never experienced weakness before. Imagine what happens to someone whose entire identity is built around being untouchable once they realize they can actually die. And according to these leaks, that's exactly what happens. Kimiko was apparently infected with the Supe-killing virus the whole time. So when Homelander attacks her, he gets infected too. And his death? Apparently it's brutal. Not epic. Not heroic. Not glorious. He starts hallucinating, breaking down, begging. The most powerful man on Earth dying terrified and completely alone. And honestly, that feels like the perfect ending for his character. Because Homelander spent his entire life making everyone else afraid. So ending his story with him finally experiencing fear himself feels weirdly poetic. But somehow, the finale gets even darker after that. Because once Homelander dies, Butcher doesn't stop. According to the leaks, he decides all Supes need to die. Every single one. And that's the moment he fully crosses the line. That's the moment he becomes the villain. Which means someone has to stop him. And according to the leaks, that person is Hughie. Yep, Hughie kills Butcher. And apparently, Butcher dies with relief on his face. Which honestly makes this feel even more believable to me. Because deep down, Butcher never expected a happy ending for himself. He always knew this path would destroy him eventually. And Hughie being the one to end it? That completes the entire story arc of the show. The student surpassing the mentor. The normal guy becoming strong enough to save the world. The one person who still believed in humanity making the impossible choice. That's not just a finale. That's tragedy. And finally, according to the leaks, the series ends with a time skip. Hughie and Starlight get married. They help raise Ryan together. And somehow, Stan Edgar ends up back in power again. Which honestly feels like the most realistic part of all of this. Because at the end of the day, The Boys has never really been about superheroes. It's about systems, power, corruption. Heroes die, monsters fall, but the machine keeps going. Now obviously, none of this is officially confirmed yet. These are still leaks. But after episode 7 turned out to be almost completely accurate, it's getting really hard to ignore this stuff. And if even half of this actually happens in episode 8, people are going to be talking about this finale for years. So what do you think? Would this actually be the perfect ending for The Boys? Or were you hoping for something completely different?